meeting due to technical problems. So will you try joining again?
If I get booted, I will come right back.
Okay. Actually, it has started and you're still here. That's great. Hi, Janet. Okay. All right, folks. Well, let's dive in. Welcome to the WCC Public Health and Safety meeting. I thought we might have some other folks that we didn't know, but when they come, they can introduce themselves. We all know ourselves. So let's see. Why don't we dive into some public comment if we have that? And if not, we'll just go right on in. Okay. We have Thea Lee to do a parks and safety update. Thank you for coming, Thea.
It's very fortuitous because Rex Redmond, who is in charge of giving us updates for Scoburg Gardens, sent me a message today.
Oh, nice.
And they are, it was January the last time they gave us any updates on Scoburg Gardens. So I actually think it was January of last year, to be honest. They are going to start doing some vegetation maintenance work in the park. And then after that, their survey staff are going to be there to locate a few items that were not picked up in previous survey work. And then they will be sending out more information with a new update for the current project status and next steps as they move forward. So it is still on the block to be renovated, which is really good because those of you that have attended for the park concerts, if you go over to the kids area, it is so rough over there. The squishy stuff is all cracked and broken, and it's just not safe. So that's nice that that's moving forward. Also, as far as the concerts in the park, Julie gave me a bunch of posters to put up. And I've been going up every week and putting posters on the runner's board, and someone is ripping down all our posters. The interesting thing is they're only ripping down the part about the coaster. There's concerts, the times and who's playing. They're leaving up the WCC poster part. They've left the poster on the north side of the runner's board, but the poster that faces Polk Street gets ripped down every time I put it up the very next morning.
Muted.
Stephen, you have your hand up.
Can you mute yourself?
Actually, on a side note, before I ask the question I had, that happened to me, and I'm wondering if can everybody hear me? I was advertising an event and put a flyer on each side of the board, and the one on one side of the board kept disappearing, and I'm wondering if city staff have been instructed not to allow duplication on each side of the board. That's a possibility. The question I had was, have any kids been injured as a result of the dilapidation of the play structures? Frozen with her mouth open.
Yeah, Thea, you're frozen. Unfortunately, there you are. Okay.
Moving.
I don't have any information on how many kids have been injured. I don't think we've had any
Good.
injured. I mean, parents are pretty good about watching their kids over there.
Yeah.
So
I heard a rumor putting up posters for the art walk and have seen that there is someone that is going through the neighborhood. And if you go by where they have all the posters, like on the telephone poles, all that's there are staples. Someone is going around town and ripping down posters all over, not just WCC. It's interesting that you say that they leave the WCC part and just take the concert, but it's not just us. There is someone going through the neighborhood and just tearing all the posters down everywhere. So
I know Julie's been replacing them at Red Barn as well. The bulletin board at Red Barn, she's been having to replace them there as well. So
There is a city ordinance that does not allow posters on utility poles.
That's never stopped folks from putting them up, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The city
I
is,
have a quick question for you, Thea. If they do proceed with Scobert Park, I'm going to guess it'll take some time, like probably a year, knowing how the city moves and gets things done. If that is the case, do you think Sladden is an option to have our concerts in the park if we get that grant again?
I don't know. There's the Rose Garden, there's Sladden, there's WJ, there's Maury Jacobs. So it's, we have some choices.
Is Maury Jacobs technically in the Whitaker?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
It's the northern boundary of the Whitaker. The river is the northern boundary of the.
Now Maury Jacobs is real close to where did we have that meeting at the Campbell Center, right? That's over there.
Yeah, that's
out of the Whitaker. But,
that's downtown. That's out of the Whitaker.
yeah.
Right. I thought the Maury Jacobs Park was over that way.
No, Maury Jacobs starts at Valley River Bridge and goes to Skinner's Butte.
Okay.
So it's a
Thank
long,
you.
skinny park. So
Janet, did you have a question for Thea? Janet, did you have a question for Thea? Oh, she's unmuting. Okay.
Janet is still muted.
Janet, you're muted.
Anybody
you-
good at the-
There. Okay. My bad. Wrong button. Yeah, insofar as the flyers, yeah, I'm one of those that I do not like that paper left up. I see there's no management for it. And in the Whitaker, we're inundated with those telephone poles being papered up from top to bottom. And eWeb has a policy, and I bet eWeb is probably addressing it, because every time you staple those poles, it deteriorates the life of that pole. And if you look at some of those poles, they look like porcupine quills on them. So I, for one, if we are putting up posters throughout the Whitaker neighborhood, someone should earmark and go back and clean those up afterwards. It does not speak well of the neighborhood association to leave those signs up and let the paper wads pile up at the base. It adds to the apathy in the neighborhood. And if we as an organization can't be a little tidier with our
Janet, may I
communication,
interrupt you?
yeah.
When
So
I put
I rest.
posters up for the Whitaker Community Council, they only go up on bulletin boards. And
Yes.
then I go up after the event and pull them down, because I feel like you. I
Thank
don't want waste up. And
Yes,
all
thank
the
you.
events we have ever sponsored, I've been the one that's gone around and put them in all the buildings, and I've gone back to all the buildings and taken them all down. And they're like, "Oh, you're coming back to take them down?" And I said, "Absolutely." So
Thank you.
Art, what was it called, Margaret? Art Walk. I did it for Art Walk last year, and I've done it for the vaccine clinics, and then
Those all go in venues. They're not hung up out. I mean, they go on bulletin boards and in the places that are having the art walk.
yeah. So and I pull them down when they're done. So there's that. Sorry guys, I have no air conditioning. I am upstairs in my.
Ugh.
I have to turn my air off so that you can hear me. So I'm just like, it's about 90 up here right now. So other things that are happening in the park this Saturday, Roving Park Players, and I will post it on the. I'm giving you the positives. Roving Park Players is doing Peter Pan this Saturday and Sunday, the 16th and 17th at 6 o'clock. They are an amazing group, and I've been watching them come days a week to practice, and it doesn't matter what the temperature, rain or shine. If it's raining this weekend, they will be there. So, and they're right at the end of North Grand, between North Grand and Polk, right here in the park. It's a lot of fun, and they have some great costumes. They're a great group. So that's happening. We've also had an uptick in community officers patrolling the parks and housing service officers. and they're reaching out to our unhoused and also to people. We have had quite an uptick in drug use in the Whitaker, and EPD has actively been trying to stop it. We had major arrests today and yesterday. The nighttime security is still happening. So if any of you drive around Washington, Jefferson, what you're seeing is nighttime security is telling them they can't be in the parks. They can't be in Sladden, none of the parks after 11 o'clock at night. WJ might be a little bit later. And so they asked them to move out. So right now we have a lot of people that are living on Washington between First and the river. And someone has actually dug a hole from the river towards the Rose Garden. I will be sending that to the head of parks tomorrow. I have photographs of that. It was shared with me today. They've built a burrow underneath this tree. Yeah, it's a little scary. It's kind of like the holes we're digging up on the Chambers Street Bridge. So I will get that out. We've got a lot of fecal matter out there. So if you're willing to report illegal behaviors, it's a good idea that we continue to do that. But we have been getting increased patrols. I have a meeting, we're working on a meeting with Chief Skinner, and I'm going to see if I can get a meeting with the mayor again as well, and maybe the city manager, just to discuss some of the issues. I do have a meeting with Rich Hoy, who is in charge of Public Works, because we have excess trash all over the neighborhood. They're moving people, but they're not picking up the trash. And so they need to be picking up the trash, the fecal matter, and the needles. So I'm working on that. We had a business that had some issues with someone, and they were calling it in and they were reporting online. And I don't want to share the business or anything like that, but they reached out to me, and I was able to reach out to our community service officer, and he got right on top of it. So they are coming up with some solutions to help this business, because there were people harassing their customers, their employees, and the business with really loud music, and it was making it impossible for people to come in and out of the business. And they were pissed because they had reported some illegal camping. So that's a little frustration, but our Jeff Blondie, our community officer, has been on top of it, and they really are cruising the neighborhood to see if they can help. Big thing, Val Hoyle, train. This is going to lead into the train thing. Val Hoyle has a town hall. I don't know how many of you know that, but it is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock at South Eugene High. She is the person that has been pushing the railroad to come through. And I guess the biggest question, because you're not going to stop the railroad, the biggest question is, how are they going to get emergency services to us? What are they going to do on this side of the railroad tracks? They're kind of working on Chambers, but not really. There's a little bit of work happening. So our way out of the neighborhood is Ferry Street Bridge if Chambers is blocked. And we don't have a fire station here anymore. It used to be across from your business, Derek, but we don't have one anymore on this side. So how are they going to address those things? That's one of my big concerns I keep asking. And Doriandra and I talked about the apartment complex that's going in on 5th and Adams in the empty parking lot there next to Bruns Red Apple. The developer for that is the same person that developed the apartments and housing on 30th and Hilliard. It's behind the Albertsons on 30th. So it has provisions market. This was something I talked to the council about a year ago and said, hey, what's going on? Are you guys aware this is happening? They're going to build a building without parking. So as a health and safety committee, and then I'm also giving the board an update. The board should probably be reaching out and saying, you're not putting parking. You're not addressing the parking issue. So, and it's not going to be low-end housing. Margaret, you have a question?
No, I just want to make a statement that as of today, Chris Horton is our land use representative for the WCC. I connected him with the city. I actually reached out to Den first because Den was very on top of what was happening in Scobert Garden. He knew the architects, he had the plans. I mean, that guy had everything. So he would have been a good person to be able to have the information. He never responded. So I asked Chris, and Chris said absolutely.
Chris will be
So,
amazing.
yeah,
He'll be
Chris will do
amazing.
an amazing job, and it just took me a minute he was gone for a week, but he will be getting the plans for that apartment complex and about what's happening, and he will stay up on it and bring that stuff to the board, and we'll talk about what we want to do.
So the city has brought it up more than once about putting parking permits in Whitaker, kind of like the university neighborhood. And if they're going to do that, then council should push that households get them for free and more than one per household. Because it was brought up a few years ago, and it's like, we have a lot of renters that they can't afford a parking permit. And a landlord is going to charge them a parking permit fee. So the city needs to make sure that they don't knock us out of our own houses by doing this. And then I also was in Red Apple today because I'm sure some of you have seen the posts about how horrible lack of groceries, lack of stuff. They have started WIC finally. So that's big and helpful. And the new owners are moving into the area. So I am going to go in tomorrow and introduce myself. I talked to one of their clerks there, and I'm going to introduce myself and talk to them about ways they could be more part of our community to be more helpful. Because people feel like it's a food desert. And I'm hearing all, you go in and it's like, oh, there's no dairy, or there's no produce, or there's no, there's just things, whole sections of the grocery store are missing. So I'm going to work on that and see if we can convince them to be a little bit more proactive.
They already bought a house in the neighborhood.
Good. So I think that's it that I have for you right now. Do you have any questions or anything that you've heard you need worked on?
I just want to thank Margaret and for getting Chris on the land use thing, because out in the field with the Healthy Homes program, I was starting to get a lot of concerned folks that were saying, what are we doing about this? And they're very concerned. Everybody at the co-op is concerned that their parking will just be deeply compromised. So thank you for getting on that, and hopefully we can have some say in how this rolls out. So.
Yeah, and I thank Chris for stepping up and being willing to, take that on. He's very happy to do it.
Great.
So that's a great thing.
One
He'll
of the
be a
things-
great representative for us.
One of the things I asked at one of the meetings, I think it was the meeting we all went to. It was the one that Saturday that we all went to. The planning people were there, and I asked about the building, and their response was, oh, well, it's zoned, that corner is zoned for that kind, because I said, why are you going 5 stories? It's going to affect the ecosystem of the apartment to the west and the apartments to the north. It's going to totally change their whole yard, landscape, heating and cooling, all of it. And they said, oh, well, it's already zoned for that, so it doesn't really matter. I'm like, no, it does matter. So that was the city's response at that meeting. So
Yeah, I remember.
Yep.
So anybody have anything they need me to work on? Because I am meeting with the chief, and I'm going to work on talking to the mayor and the city manager.
It sounds to me like you're on top of everything that we need.
Mhm.
Well, it's nice that we're getting some bike and park patrol officers through, and the park ambassadors have just been on top of it. So we'll see.
Looks like Janet has her hand up for you.
Janet?
Yeah, years ago, right across the street, they're on 5th Street from now Bruns, there was and she served on the WCC, where she challenged solar rights, people in the neighborhood that eventually may wish to exercise their right for solar panels. This 5-story limit, and someone at the University of Oregon, I believe it was a professor, said at one time, and this is like 10, 15 years ago, maybe longer, that Oregon had probably statewide some of the strongest solar right protections in the nation. Now, I don't know if that still remains true, but if it is, it bears looking into because these extra tall buildings are going to affect, and especially where our energy costs are rising by the minute, a 5-story apartment moving into a residential mixed-use neighborhood is going to infringe on those already existing folks that may elect at some point, and I'm sure someone in the Eugene community, I'm sure, is very well versed on that 5-story, and why the planning commission or whoever it was that Margaret said, just carry on. We're going to build 5-story buildings. Nowadays, that is certainly a worthy argument to present and be pursued to establish our unique community, because they're letting out the dams, and our opportunity for having energy in our homes is either hydroelectric or, as I see it, solar. So to move forward with the 5-story apartment, not even address that feature for the surrounding neighbors that would be impacted by that overreach of height. I think as a council, we should see if someone in the council could look into that for community members that would be interested in pursuing that.
You should email Chris and let him know what you know, Janet. I always thought we had a 3-story limit in Whitaker.
That's what I thought.
And I'm going to be emailing Chris because that's
Thank you.
easy for him to get that information and so
It
look
is
into that.
extraordinarily important, I believe. Yes. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Our agenda is packed tonight, so I'm sorry. We got to push on, and Thea can go downstairs and get some cool
I'm
air.
gonna get out of my, it's
right.
literally 95 in here. I turned off, I have an air conditioner, but when I turned it off, the heat just went.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you
folks
so
stay
much.
cool,
Yeah.
and I'll send an update for the board tomorrow night. Or do you have
Perfect.
me on, Margaret, for tomorrow night?
It's a following
Oh, it's
week.
next Wednesday. It's not this Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a week from tomorrow, and you'll be on the agenda, like we discussed before.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
I'll put
jump
you
on
on
your
first.
bike, bring your laptop to our house. Our heat pump is working in the other direction and cooling the place. So it's a nice 78 degrees here. Bring your
Well,
laptop.
it's cool downstairs. I put one in the downstairs for my husband this summer, so he can no
So
longer do-
I just looked up, there are, eWeb and Lane County, or the city of Eugene have laws when it comes to, residences and making sure that they have adequate, sunlight to power their solar panels, if that's what they have. So I just copy and pasted it and sent the link to the board, so anybody can read it that wants to.
Thank you so much, Margaret.
Yeah.
All right.
I forgot,
Alright.
we have a new, I know a lot of you are farm to table people. One of our park ambassadors lost his job this year because they did layoffs, and he is now doing Full Circle, which represents about 40 Northwest farms. I just signed up. It's pretty amazing because you actually get to choose what's in your farm box for a reasonable price. So if you know anybody out there that's looking for produce and things like that, just send me an email or shoot me a text. I'm going to try my first box next week. And he's a Whitaker resident, so his name's
Hey,
Anthony.
Thank
Could
you.
you share the information with that town hall with Hoyle? Do you have it readily?
With Val Hoyle?
Yeah, can you just share it, like email it to me or something?
Yeah, I'll just forward you
I'd
that.
like to know why she refuses to come to the Whitaker.
So, okay,
Okay. Thank you, Thea. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
bye-bye. Thank you, guys.
Joanna, we got a little off track there. Do you mind if we stay on course and then you take my time closer to the end to do your announcement?
Doriandra, Gary's got a meeting he's got to go to pretty soon. So
Okay.
we're really just at cross purposes. However, I'm just going to take a minute or two here.
That's fine.
What we're looking at is a citywide, it's going to be including Springfield, possibly the county this year. And it's an exercise well, it's an emergency preparedness exercise. And the primary purpose is for people to have practice assessing the damage in their neighborhoods, reporting it, filling out the appropriate forms, having that information moved on up the chain. We're not quite at that point, but what I think this is a good lead in for, and Margaret, I know I need to send you something. What I want to do is put something in the paper saying, if you have an FRS radio, a GMRS radio, or a ham radio, and you don't know how to use it, let's meet, let's talk, let's get you using your radio, let's practice. Because at some point, if we need to be able to talk with each other on our radios, because if Wi-Fi is down and the cell towers are down, that's it. But I guess my question, I don't know if this is for Doriandra or for Margaret or what. In order for me to have this meeting, I live in a little house. So I need a location for us to meet. You do have one. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm going to talk to you about that right now then, because I don't want to take up too much time.
That's okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to do it at our big disaster resiliency event that we'll be partnering with COAD. So it'll be like a full section of an entire day that everyone can come out and do a practice around Washington Jefferson Park.
When is that?
We're gonna figure out the date a little bit later in our agenda once we talk about the train project.
Okay.
So
okay.
and if you have to jump off, no worry. I'll send you the notes and you and I can talk later offline and
Perfect.
coordinate
Okay,
that.
yeah, because I also thought I was going to need to get Jen's information so that I could contact her about the COAD thing, but it looks like I'll be able to be there and ask all my questions and get some answers right there.
Yep, perfect. That's what we're going to do is fuse our two events together so that we can totally maximize the training and you'll have a huge part of that day. So we're
Okay.
counting on you. So
Will Andy be there too?
yes, Andy always comes out, Andy Davis and then Jim Bell, and they always come to represent us. So we'll have a large group of folks.
I have wanted this to happen for so long, and it's the fact that it's finally coming together just warms my heart.
Good.
Okay, I'm gonna have to go,
Okay.
and I'll watch for your notes, Doriandra. Hello, everybody. Goodbye, everybody. And Janet, thank you so much for signing up for technician training for Janet, the ham radio operator.
Awesome. Thank you, Joanna. We
All
appreciate
right,
you.
take care.
Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, I want to welcome Ashley. We're excited to have you here tonight. Maybe when you come back on, or if you'd like to introduce yourself, we'd love to know more about you.
Yes. Hi. Yeah, my name is Ashley Oddicke. I prefer she, her pronouns. I work with climate justice organization Rogue Climate, based out of our Coos Bay office. I'm here tonight because to help engage in the conversation that y'all have been starting to navigate around the railroad impacts from the Pacific Coast Intermodal Project. My group's very concerned about this project because, we're at the beginning of the rail line in Coos Bay with a lot of impacts that may happen from the proposal that there's a lot of overlapping infrastructure from the Jordan Cove LNG project, which is what actually opened up our office here in Coos Bay. Community members donated, fundraised, rallied for Rogue Climate to open up an office here. So anyway, just to give a quick snapshot, been having a couple of great conversations with Stephen and helping connecting with a few different community members and allies, as well as as the on the other side of the railroad line here in Coos Bay, as we are abundant in many things, but also definitely depend on a number of things in Eugene. So I feel like that there's a lot of great intersection, and here to listen as well if there's any insight I can help provide as well. So happy to be here, and thanks for the invitation for tonight.
Sure. Great to have you, Ashley. Good stuff. Okay. I'm Doriandra, I'm the executive director of WCC. We've got some of our fabulous board members tonight, and our chair is Margaret there. So yeah, we should just hop in because there's so much to chat about. I wanted to maybe start with an update about the actual meeting that occurs on September 10th. As a board and group, we all really were trying hard to get a good list of panelists. Margaret, will you dive in?
Here's what I actually put something together today. Sorry if you can't see. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
So far what we have, Melissa Cribbins, the executive director of the Pacific Coast Port Project, will be there, and crew. I think that there are 4 people coming. I do know that they hired an outside agency to gather information from all of the communities that will be affected by what's happening. So she is coming with all of the people. Like I said, I emailed her today to please give me a list of all the names and what exactly will they be talking about. We invited Senator Manning. Senator Manning will either be here. He may have a scheduling conflict. If he does, his chief of staff, Matt Keating, is aware of the plans and will attend if the senator is unable to. I also emailed them to confirm. Val Hoyle, she said that she will be in DC voting on December 10th, but that her district director, Elizabeth Wilson, will attend on behalf of Val's office. Lindsay Leach is working to find out, and she's having the hardest. She just can't seem to figure out who from the city, the county, or both will be the liaison between the project and Blaine County. Cindy Kohler will be here to support, just to be supportive of the WCC. And then I have some notes. I know that I reached out to Beyond Toxics as well as you did, Doriandra. Are they speaking? When they did the meeting with Train Song, they had Daniel Garrison, who's the Union Pacific Railroad State Legislative Director of Oregon Smart TD. And if we could get him to participate, that would be a great thing. I've emailed him several times and never got a result. But they do, Beyond Toxic knows him, and they are actually the ones that put together the meeting in Train Song back in January. So that's what I have so far that I could come up with today, digging through emails and what I remember. Did I miss anything?
No, just two things to clarify for Ashley. Cindy Kohler is the neighborhood association liaison for us. So that's just so we do have someone from the city, and then Lindsay Leach is our local councilwoman for our district. And then Dan Garrison, I believe, isn't he the director of transportation?
Well, Dan Garrison is the Union Pacific Railroad / state legislature director, state legislative director of Oregon Smart TD.
Okay.
So he is not just, he is, I don't think he's completely the director of transportation, but I'm not sure what Oregon Smart TD is. I can find out.
Okay.
Let's look here. And here I have him up here on Smart Transportation. Union representing members of the rail, transit, bus, and airline industries.
Okay. Could anyone mute without speaking? We've got a lot of feedback. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, that's a really exciting and robust, sorry, and now the cat is speaking, group of panelists. And then Stephen, would you do an update on, I guess Ashley connected us with Jan Holder, or can you talk a little bit about that meeting we have next Monday?
Yeah, I'll go back to our last meeting. We talked about who was going to do what. And I said I would investigate the railroad side. And I think Doriandra said she was going to do the air quality stuff and talk to Beyond Toxics. So after our meeting last time, I spoke to 350 Eugene, and they put me in touch with Ashley. And I had a good long chat with Ashley, and she introduced me to the League of Women Voters people, and indirectly, no direct contact yet with Oregon Shores Surf Rider. And I then met with the League of Women Voters, two people who produced a huge report over a number of years on the Coos Bay line. And I met with them for 90 minutes. They were in Eugene, fortunately. And number of things came out of that meeting. First off, we formed a group of railroad working group to develop a list of the unanswered questions about the railroad that we can select from those for questions for September 10th that we want to have addressed by the PCIP people. So that was the first thing, a working group on railroads. And we're having our meeting next week on Monday morning, and Ashley may attend with us. That will be me, Jan Hodder, Mike Graybill, who's they're the two League of Women Voters people, and Steve Miller, who's the key railroad, the kind of shy retiring railroad expert with League of Women Voters. The other thing is Mike Graybill, one of the League of Women Voters, is pursuing the similarities between the situation that Eugene could be in and the situation they have in Southeast Portland, the Brooklyn neighborhood, where there are long trains that block grade crossings several times a day. So they're in a similar position. And he's going to be meeting this week with somebody who did a report on, somebody who worked for Union Pacific for many years on the traffic side, was producing a report for the Portland Board of Transportation on the situation in Southeast Portland. And that expertise on congestion caused by long trains in neighborhoods with grade crossings could be very relevant to the situation here. So I will hear back, I hope, from Mike. He's going to assess whether the Union Pacific guy, the retired Union Pacific guy, is appropriate for including on our panel, but we'll get his recommendation. We won't make any offer or invitation, but once Mike gets back to me, I'll then get back to Doriandra and possibly Margaret as to whether or not we should be including an ex-Union Pacific person on the panel.
Hey, Stephen, just real quick so I did ask the ED of Port Project if she could please bring their Union Pacific rep that they're working with, and she's still yet to get back to me about that, but that is a good possibility that will happen.
Yeah, the having an ex-Union Pacific person who's actively familiar with the mess that they have in Southeast Portland could be very, very helpful. He might be more willing to he might be willing to speak publicly about the similarities, whereas I suspect somebody who's still actively with the Union Pacific might be a little bit more circumspect about what they say in a public meeting. So with Melissa Cribbins, we have a project proponent. We don't yet have anybody on the board who's actively opposing the project, and we don't yet have anybody on the panel who's like a concerned neighbor somebody who lives a block or two from the railroad, who has to cross the railroad on foot or on bicycle to do shopping.
I
And
think we're
is
going to have a
aware-
whole room full of those, Stephen. I don't
Yeah.
think we will be at any you've been to a meeting before, you know what they're like.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you need somebody like that for the panel, but as far as having we're as a council, we're even-handed on this. We're providing a forum for information about the project to get out there. I think it's somewhat imbalanced at the moment, just having the project proponent without having somebody on the possibly who maybe have a different opinion from Melissa. And
I would
I-
agree with that 100%. That's part of why we've been trying to get Beyond Toxics involved. I watched their whole meeting with Train Song, and
Actually-
they are not in
actually-
support of having the changes.
Climate has somebody who's in Eugene who may be a suitable person to speak for environmental issues, social issues, air quality issues, and things like that. So I'll back up to Beyond Toxics. Ashley may have somebody who is a potential backup if Beyond Toxics.
That would be great, because you're
Doesn't
right, we
involve-
do need that.
And my
Ashley,
understanding,
would
is that
Ashley,
they-
would you like to tell the others about Masayo?
What about you, Ashley? You want to come to the meeting?
Well, I do live in Coos Bay, so, and I am sadly dealing with a car malfunction that,
It's a hybrid meeting. You could join us online.
well, I was gonna mention if Jan or Mike or Steven from Coos Bay are going to that meeting, I was gonna try to see if I can go in person with them. And if not, I would love to participate in the hybrid option, but, I wanted to share a little context that some things that y'all have already mentioned is, one, about the port platform. There's been a lot of different meetings, and I think we've seen this done a lot in the legislature, that the port gets to be like the only voice for North Point Development, which is the private partner for this project. That, there's some puppet masters in the background, that get to have like a lot of spaces where, if anybody has any negative to say, they don't get to have that platform. So by negative, they haven't drank the Kool-Aid on this project proposal. They're usually, shunned from speaking. So that's just something I'd say keep in mind of. Also, I've had one exploratory conversation with Beyond Toxics on the specific issue, and I've had some follow-up conversations in person when I've seen them in lobbying in Salem and stuff. But so they, at the staff, may be still relatively new to this concept. Sorry,
You're breaking up a little bit.
please mute if you're not speaking.
Okay, I'll see if that makes a difference there. Was just going to share that with Beyond Toxics, I know they've been doing the train song work, but they may still be relatively new to like the project proposal itself around the container terminal. But I think if they were to engage to really gear towards questions, the reason why I brought them up, because they shared information with us that we didn't know about train song and pollution, I believe that there's pollution policy happening at the city of Eugene that they're working on. And then I think to give like background of like the greater environmental justice community. And then what Stephen was alluding to as I do have a coworker, they weren't able to be here tonight. Masayo, Simon, they live in the Whitaker district and work as our communications coordinator at Road Climate, and been really tracking this issue with me for a while. May not be in the technical weeds as I am, but they can, prepared to be engaged. And I think no matter what, I was going to have them go to this event in person. Was yeah, so that's kind of like what I would like for them. You know, if Messiah was to be involved, that's great. If not, I would love for them just to be there to connect with folks. And then yeah, I think I think the person from Beyond Toxic that seemed the most excited about engaging on this project proposal in general was Jennifer Isley. And but I will admit summer has gone busy already that I haven't done my due diligence of having a follow-up conversation with them. So I came here tonight to kind of help be, you know, of course, if folks wanted to have those, do the outreach that you need to do. But when it comes to like kind of preparing some information and context and stuff, more than happy to help out, you know, panelists prepare for that. For like,
Do you mind, Doriandra, if I please
Go ahead.
please, yes, if you have someone that lives in the WIT that's working with you, please have them reach out and contact us. And we would love to have them help participate in what we're doing. I think, you know, in some ways, the more the merrier.
Yeah, and I would love it if you wanted to just kind of share what's going on your side briefly. I mean, I know that the kind of melting pot obviously is at your place or your part of town because that's the onus of this impacting project. But we'd love to just get a brief download on where you're at with this.
yeah, I will admit this is, you know, something that I've been, you know, tracking alongside, like Stephen mentioned Mike and Jan, Stephen, and there's a few other folks from the League of Women Voter group that have been kind of like the constant beating drum of this campaign. From a organizational point of view, I've been watchdogging alongside with them, and to be honest, this at first felt like a challenging campaign to launch because of we ran a no LNG campaign to stop Jordan Cove LNG, and this project itself is very greenwashed, proposed as a concept that I like to call the false solution. Right now, our organization, we've been actually lately a nonprofit that's based out of Eugene, Center for Story-Based Strategy. We've been doing some narrative workshops with them and working on narrative and stories that we'd love to have a follow-up session with you all about, to, you know, especially get some stories about the railroad and add in that component. But also, and I've been following up in response to the legislative session where they got $100 million last second in a not so great way. And also been we've been told several times that permit process was to start for, they call this project, there's three components of it. They call it the three-legged stool. One of the components is definitely the railroad that you all are focusing on. Another component is the actual container terminal site itself. And then the third component is the channel modification, which is the infrastructure that mostly overlaps with a former proposal for that was for the Jordan Cove LNG export terminal to be Oregon's largest dredging project in history. For some scale, that they're looking to remove in about 8 miles of our bay, enough material to fill about 8 Autzen stadiums for scale. And
it's going to change the whole Oregon ecosystem.
Yep. And, you know, days like today, the last few days, I know y'all been going through the heat. You know, our coastal communities have been a refuge for folks, you know, seeking coolness from the heat, and a big part of that to the way how our bays are created. So and Coos Bay's the essentially the deepest water port between Seattle to San Francisco. So, we know this is a place where people want to develop at. And so, yeah. So on my end, we're trying to, really focus on what's happening here locally, but also know that, it's not going to impact here. So, love to carry on conversations with y'all because I think it's going to be important for, even if it's like what we're expecting to happen first is comments for this dredging component, but it doesn't hurt for folks in Whitaker to name that any part of this project shouldn't be moving forward. The railroad, because they kind of need all three to work out to make this boondoggle, like Stephen mentioned in the chat, to work. So, if one of the legs of the stool can't work, it's no longer a three-legged stool. So, yeah, I'd like to name that. And actually, I will pause to see if anybody has anything else to add or any other questions there.
I do. I think it would be really neat for the September meeting if you or someone like you from the first stage of this debacle could give a brief update that covers the impacts for the water, the ecosystem, all the things. And then we could literally triage that and go to the next one and then give what we understand now with such limited information, our impacts here in Eugene. I think that would be a really powerful way to potentially start the meeting. Like a little bit of back history for us, and Stephen may have shared this with you already, but I barely caught the email back in November. It was just this really almost looked like spam. It was just this inquiry from JTL, like, hey, you're a stakeholder, so we want to get your opinion. And that just opened up a can of worms. Stephen and I had the interview with them. We were saddened that some of our main issues that we wanted to bring their attention didn't make it into that big report. And it was very, very perfunctory and kind of felt like pretty shoddy. So we have been struggling on this end with an alarming lack of communication or even information coming back from the city, which has rendered us very uncertain about city involvement. Is it that they don't know what's going on, or that they do to the extent that they don't want us to know the depth of it? So congratulations to Margaret to get Lindsay and Cindy Kohler from the city at this meeting. But yeah, I think the structure of the meeting is really important, because Margaret and Stephen and I were emailing today, and Margaret was emphasizing the critical point of gathering questions from our community, people that are not going to be able to get EMT services because they're waiting for a mile-long train, right? And so, like, these community questions are so essential, and I hope that maybe at the top of the meeting, giving that three-legged stool quick thing would generate more concern or questions. What do you think, Margaret?
Actually, I have a question going back. I didn't even think about what Thea said. And there is a way to get to the Whitaker, not going over the bridge from the fire department. You just have to go around and you come down second. But I would be curious. So when we had our last meeting, and it was regards to the city budget, and the fire tax and all of that, I actually spent a large amount of time talking to we have a new fire chief in Eugene, and he said that he would be happy to come to any meeting that we had, as long as he couldn't talk about the fire tax because it was still on the ballot. So what do you all think? Should I reach out to the fire chief and invite him to come and talk at this meeting and have him express how he feels about being able to get services into the Whitaker? I mean, that to me that's a big deal. I didn't even think about that previously.
I mean, if we're going down that road, we could also include people from the Head Start and the school district. How are school buses going to deliver kids on time? Get them home?
But then we'll be so far off. I mean, we only have 2 hours. But the fire chief, getting an ambulance or a fire truck, Chris Gatsby's house just burned down.
To the ground. Yeah.
Yeah. What if they couldn't have got a fire truck in here?
Yeah. Now that
Or
to me,
somebody else, gets hit in the road.
yeah, that was one of our main points with JTL. And I think if I recall, Stephen, that didn't even get into our report or the report that went back to the commission. It was like, they were like, well, okay. And I don't know if that's
I
like,
could just reach out and get a feel and see what he thinks.
yeah, it's a
If
great
he's
idea.
even willing to do it. He may not be, but I don't know. But I think it's definitely worth asking. And yes, I think you have a great idea, Doriandra, to give a little bit of backstory, to start at the beginning, to go over the three-legged stool per se, to express it like that. It makes sense because we want to see the whole picture. But the majority of what we're doing is what it's going to do to affect. Are they going to build a whole rail yard out there behind Ninkasi? I mean, I don't see any other way. I didn't even realize today, Stephen, until I read your email. And then I was like, oh my gosh, they're going to have trains going both ways. Not just coming in. They're going to be going out to put them on the containers to send them back out to sea. And they're going to have to take those containers and unload them in a space and then load them back on another train and that all stops right here. We are the hub.
There's no direct route from the Coos Bay line to the yard. They have to come in onto the Union Pacific main line and then block the main line and all the grade crossings while they throw the switch at the Coos Bay line so they can back up to the yard. So having that happen 12 times a day is crazy. You'd be blocking the grade crossing. I can't see how you can take second to get to this part of the Whitaker without getting across the train tracks. How do you get on second to here?
You can't. But I think everything is important. I think laying the foundation, talking about what's happening in Coos Bay, laying the whole thing out, that makes sense to me. It gives it some structure, I just want to make sure that the majority of the meeting that we talk about what's going to happen here. And people want to know. I still get people that ask me what's happening. When is that meeting? What's going on? So
Go ahead, Jim.
Just before I lose the thread,
Yeah.
when they were talking about putting roundabouts on Franklin and that would effectively cut off any, like, in the case of an earthquake, any like non-bridge, non-roundabouted traffic flow to the hospital. It's actually the fire marshal that you want to get to get mad about those things. They have to approve plans like that, and there has to be alternate accommodations, and there has to be you can't significantly disadvantage a neighborhood to fire and ambulance access based on construction projects. And so just as a heads up.
Thanks.
thank you.
Okay. So let's take it back to Ashley, maybe. And could we plan on you doing that segment for us at the top of the meeting, or one of your colleagues?
Yep. And I wanted to mention, I know one colleague who is planning on being there in person too is Mandy Watson from Oregon Shores Conservation Coalition. So I chatted with her earlier today about another matter, but brought up tonight's meeting, and she was also not able to join. But told me to let her know if there's any way that she could help present. Her counterpart just left the organization, but was a long-term partner on this project with me. And Mandy's new to the organization, but the part that she has been diving into is the railroad part too. So, I mean, she's not as in the weeds as some of us are, but she basically, if Messiah or I can't, she would probably be our backup.
Okay, one thing is, in the interest of promoting and also so Margaret can get our agenda out, could you three make a call on that and just email me how you want the wording for that to be so we can get your group in Margaret's agenda? Thank you. Like, I think we're going to try to start that this week, and then we'll create a lot of social media, push it forward, and then I have a press release ready. And so once we have an agenda and everybody on it, all the speakers and presenters, we can push that out. Go ahead, Stephen.
Yeah, early next week, I'll be able to give you a report on what was discussed at the railroad working group meeting on Monday. And I'll also have feedback as to how the conversation went with the former Union Pacific guy, who's the expert on congestion in Portland. So I'll be able to give that to you very early next week.
Okay, perfect. Then Margaret, why don't we just we'll just kind of make our internal deadline for all these parts by like next Tuesday, maybe?
That's fine.
Okay, great. Then we can push the agenda out and start going, because that'll give us a little under a month, and that's good. So
that's good for us.
Yeah, that's really good for us. We're always
right. How about you, Derek? Do you have any opinion about any of this? You got anything to say? What do you think about the whole thing? I mean, it goes right by your shop.
I'll find my little mute thing there. Being that our business is right there, I am curious about a lot of stuff, but I don't have specific questions at this point, other than I guess the quantity stuff that's going to be happening, and I don't know if that's going to be able to be answered. But
yeah,
that's the big question there.
Yeah, for us, what we were told in the initial runabout with JTLA was that we can expect up to 10 to 12 1-mile trains additionally, plus our current load going right past your building every day. And I loved the story you told us in a past meeting. You might want to share that with Ashley. It's kind of horrifying and fascinating at the same time about how your OSHA meeting was derailed.
Yeah, the sound lady that came in from OSHA to talk about she was our hygienist gal that hygiene lady, right? Talks about chemicals and safety and noise and all that. And she was worried about some of the pneumatic tools that the employees were using, because they're kind of noisy. These air hammers and whatnot are real noisy. And so they had them wear the dosimeters around their neck for a day. And when she ran the report and called me back, she says, really, the tools aren't the noisy part. The trains were actually noisier than the tools. And whenever the train has to honk the horn 4 times each time it goes through the crossing, and if there's 20 trains a day, there's a lot of horns honking all day long. So adding more, 4 more honks each time, that's going to get, we can't even talk on the phone when the train's honking. So we've kind of put up with it and all that. And then all of a sudden we start thinking about, now it's going to double.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exponentially.
And you can guess if they say double, it'll triple. It'll be more than what they tell us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
From what my experience, I mean, I don't know that for a fact, but if they say 10-mile long trains a day, they'll be 18-mile-and-a-half long trains.
And each mile long train blocks every grade crossing between Van Buren Crossing and High Street. There's 9 grade crossings between Van Buren to High is 9 crossings.
Wow.
Yeah. And I put it into the chat, but I appreciate you sharing about that sound component because of the volume that's been discussed for this project is to compete volume wise with the Port of Oakland. So there's been a couple different numbers shared for like how many units that is, but just thinking that an addition of an influx of containers to match the Port of Oakland, and I didn't think about how many honks that would be each day. So that would be a good measurement to figure out there.
Mhm.
So I have a quick question for you, Ashley, that just out of my own curiosity, if you know, you seem pretty knowledgeable. How many feet are they going to dredge out of the bay? Do you know how far down they're going to go? 5 feet, 10 feet, 20?
So this is the same
An estimate?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting off the top of my head, but they're looking to dredge, to make the base of the bay at least 10 feet lower, and then, to widen the bay, 150 yards, which, Hughes.
That's a lot of that's a lot.
But it's bedrock. The bottom 10 feet is bedrock.
Right, it's
The bottom
bedrock,
of
and
the
there's lava down there. It's lots of things.
Well, some of the things that like I've been learning from a lot of jobs that are out here are around like natural resources management, and so there's some folks that have given me some insight that, like, for instance, like 100 years ago, the Port of Coos Bay used to be a hot spot for coal, like where they want to dredge at. There's a spot that used to be coal exports. So what happens to the atmosphere when you remove, the eelgrass and bedrock and sand, and then all of a sudden, like, coal emissions are now re-entered into the atmosphere that have been, lying dormant for 100 years.
Yeah.
So, and there's also a lot of concerns from from many of our cultural partners about, during when settlers were taking over the Coos estuary, trying to move Coos, Hannes and Myluk Coos people with bounty hunters. Many people's ancestors actually hid in the bay, and actually, so there may be, a number of people's ancestors and families, and like where they want to be dredging at. And of course, the exact details on some of that is not shared publicly for many reasons. But, there's a lot of concerns about, whose family they would be removing from some of those areas, because they were specific spots where people wanted to hide from bounty hunters, for instance.
Wow. Yeah. Deep disruption of both history and archaeological. Yeah, it's a lot more than just a dredging. Okay, well, let's see here. I'm reading your chat, Jen. Potential soil. Yeah, this would be great. Upper Willamette soil. That would be great. Sorry, we've got such a bad echo. Could anybody mute that's not chatting? Okay. Go ahead, Margaret. You had your hand up? Oh, okay. All right. Well, yeah, folks, I think we have our work cut out ahead of us. And I just want to thank you so much for coming, Ashley. Thank you, Stephen, for connecting us all and for all the great work you've been doing to kind of collate a group of cohorts around this matter. I think we're going to come in really strong and educated and present both sides of the matter. And that's really important. So I guess to kind of wrap up some of our action items, we will be waiting on Ashley to see what the triad of folks that she mentioned, who will be coming to talk about that first leg. And so please give us how you want it written out, all of the organizations, all the things. That's fabulous. And then Stephen and I will be on the meeting on Monday with the trained panelists, and we'll bring some notes back from that, get them over to Margaret, and then Margaret and I will work next Tuesday, to start gather everything and create an agenda. And in the meantime, then Jen will be reaching out to the Willamette Soil and Water folks. I'm also going to be bouncing back to be on toxics to kind of dig further about the air pollution impacts. So we should have a really rounded out, comprehensive air, noise, soil, water, all those impacts. So, yep, just a little bit more about the actual meeting itself. Will be at the Eugene Mission. It's our partner and co-facilitator for our large public meetings. They always have great snacks, and it's really fun. If you can get there in person, it's great. Oh, Margaret's doing some sign
6:30.
language.
6:30. Actually, can I ask you real quick, who did you say that we should talk to at Beyond Toxics?
It's Jennifer Aisling. I'm on it. Yeah,
I'm going to call tomorrow.
good. Or Aisley, right? Is that A-I-S?
I think that's who I already emailed to talk to her once.
Yeah, she was great in response, but they were coming at it from like that it wasn't something they could take on, but they were going to come to the meeting and learn more. So I think that's why we've spun now with Ashley and our nonprofits are working together in this way. So,
and I'm going to reach out to the chair of Train Song as well.
great. Oh, Janet, I'm sorry. You got your hand up here. I didn't see it. Go ahead.
Yeah, the reason I'm wanting to speak twofold. One, who put that soil and conservation piece up?
Jen.
If they could put that up a little longer or send it as a message, please. Jen?
Yeah.
Are you able to send that piece? Also, I read, did anyone answer how deep that port was going to have to be a minimum? I think Stephen had it in his report. Didn't you say 45 feet?
I think it's
45
45 feet, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I that's as I recall. And the first layer will be all the sand, and even after that, they're going to have to blast into the bedrock, is what I recall that piece stating. So, two-part question with my second question. Has anyone been advised or heard of environmentally minded folks question? Because this will take place in the Empire Estuary. Is that right, Stephen? You know what an estuary is?
I do, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with the Empire Estuary. I'm familiar with the Coos Bay. I'm familiar with Coos Bay and the rivers that flow into Coos Bay.
And I believe that bay is in part, if not all, determined to be an estuary. So I'll have to. So I'm wondering if it can figure that out. And B, just for the dynamics, I have RSVP to go to that August 20th meeting. I know one other community member is going. We have a bunch of questions to ask about the startup of this dredging and the anticipated in time. Unlike the Chambers connector, it seemed to be a lot of stop and go. And with the federal funding being questioned or withheld, I think that's an important question to realize or to get answers. Also, the most important piece of my question tonight is with the increased rail traffic and being able to navigate in and around the west side of town, especially, I haven't heard of much. Is there mitigation? Are they going to have to put some additional chamber connector type things to alleviate the traffic with the total takeover, being able to cross from one part of the town to the other by this dramatic change in rail traffic? I haven't heard anyone address that or bring it up. How will this be mitigated? And has anyone asked for an understudy to be taken to see how the west side of Eugene, how this will be mitigated? Has anyone
Janet,
heard
I can tell you
anything?
that I know
Please.
that I read. I just to answer that question, I don't know exactly what they're doing, and the plans are still underway. But I will tell you that I did read that they are going to have to widen the tracks. Think about it; those tracks are old. In order to take the weight of a mile to a mile and a half long train so many times a day with double stacked containers, they're going to have to widen and redo the tracks through all of Eugene. So yes, there will be major construction on the rail line. I did read that. It didn't say how, when, where, but they will have to widen and redo the tracks.
I had
Ashley?
One thing I just wanted to name, just like for a type of question like that, is that something that Melissa has been saying a lot lately when the term mitigation is brought up, because right now there's no complete design of anything. That's why I put in the chat, it's like a concept of a plan phase, because it's like everything's like there's no concrete details. We know a lot of things. There's been a lot of things said, there's been, some information put out there for grants, but like when you're like asking for like what is specifically going to happen, Melissa tends to say like, well, since we're in the planning phase, we can plan to mitigate for that. We can plan for that. So just know that in preparation of materials that like there's a lot of that commonality being said, or a lot of that phrasing being said right now. It's just like, well, we can make plans around it, which is like something I feel like a lot of us have heard, time after time with other proposals. It's like, well, we'll figure a way how to get around it. Don't worry. So just have that in mind, and just also to bring up for Empire, just for clarification, Empire is a neighborhood that's going to be directly across from the container terminal. And where they want to put the container terminal is like right where the Empire boat ramp is at. And it's also the narrowest part of the channel. So the skinniest part of the channel is where they want to put where the boat turning basins would be for the boats, for the containers. So anyway, so happy to share more about Empire another time, but just wanted to share that clarification there.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Ashley.
I just, yes.
Go ahead, Janet. You have one more question, or?
Yeah, this one more added piece. It sounds as though we're waiting for information from the rail industry, and it doesn't sound like there's been much fruit yet. I contend that the traffic engineer here in Eugene come up with a proposal of where we can mitigate the automobile traffic with the rail traffic and throw it in. It kind of is, if you don't use the example as someone running to catch the train so they can get on board. That's kind of the analogy I'm putting to the style of communication. We're waiting and we've got valuable time going out of our hands. We must come up with a broad outline, if nothing else, maybe not as specific, but to establish with the rail industry what we are expecting and to be mitigated with this dramatic change in their traffic, and how are we going to mitigate it within our community. So I contend that we need to have some idea to lay on the table before the time. That's all I'm going to say.
Thanks, Janet. It's a really good point. One thing I wanted to share with the Public Health and Safety Committee tonight was that, we have one massive grant that I'm trying to write for the OHA, and it's in emergency preparedness. And in getting deeper into the weeds with it today and understanding the intense competition we're having in this grant because of how much funding the feds have taken and the OHA has lost, it almost makes sense to write this whole grant about this very train impact. And I feel like there's ways as a community we could begin the process of tree planting and like dig into how we protect ourselves from this, because like Margaret was saying the other day, like, we can't stop this. This is not even, I mean, we can do all we want, but this is probably going to happen. And so there's a lot of focus that we can be thinking about as a committee to like what we're going to do. And I propose that potentially that we fold that into this big last ditch grant that OHA is promoting right now. So just a thought, but I was hoping we'd talk more about it at the end of the meeting if we have time. So
I was gonna say,
Anyway.
Comment on
I'm
that.
writing 5 proposals
What?
for that. Oh, I'm writing 5 proposals for that grant. So if you want to talk shop, also because of that and being exhausted, if we can talk about the co-ed thing, because that's one of them, and we're a bit
Yep.
past time.
Yep,
that'd be
we're a
awesome.
bit past.
Sorry, I just know we can also talk about trains forever.
No,
But
it's
good
okay. I
stuff.
was just about to wrap that up. It looks like we've all got our questions. So we just want to thank you so much, Ashley. Feel free to stay with us or sign off and get the rest of your evening back. But we're really grateful you came tonight. So I look forward to chatting with you more online later. So,
Yeah.
all right.
And
Yeah.
so,
I was just gonna
Ashley,
say,
please email us with who can make it to the meeting and just give us a little bio of who you're with, what you do, and what you're going to talk about, and
yeah.
how much time you need.
Yep. And feel free to send me a bump because I forgot until this evening that I'm being summoned to jury duty for the rest of the week. So I'm going to
I'm
do
sure
whatever.
Stephen will remember to remind you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do some outreach right now, but feel free if you don't hear from me to do a gentle bump reminder. So
I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Well, thank you so much, folks.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Yes, let's jump into this disaster resiliency planning. I think everyone knows we're going to be partnering with COAD for this, or representatives of COAD. So, Jen, you and I had kind of been bouncing a date around, and that date looked like it was sometime in September. I wanted to propose that we give ourselves more time because our big push in September is, of course, this train meeting. So our last DR event was in November of last year. What would we think about moving to October and really focus a lot of energy towards this? Okay, maybe Jen stepped away for a minute. Oh, there she is. Okay.
I was just checking my calendar. Yeah, I think just because of weather, like earlier October
Yep.
ish, like the 11th ish or something.
Yep, exactly. That's what I was thinking too, before Halloween gets going.
Yeah, and I think
Okay.
I think the market goes through the 19th, so that weekend I'm usually pretty busy, but
Oh, okay. So you want to do it
not
after
the
that?
last weekend or no, before then. Just like
Oh.
the 4th or the 11th, it's just our final market day was always like an event, so it
Okay.
takes more than one. If we're gonna do a Saturday,
Okay.
What month are you talking?
October.
So I won't be here at the end of October. I will be out of the
I think
country.
we're talking the 4th or the 11th.
The 4th through the 11th.
If we want to do a Saturday or
Yeah. Will you be in town, Margaret, on the 4th or the 11th of October?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right. Perfect. And then Jen, I just figured if there was time at our COAD leadership meeting on the 18th, I believe, or something. My hope was just to kind of like
next Tuesday.
talk to folks. Or would you recommend I just send Josh a big email about what we want to do, or how do you want to?
You and I are planning this.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Great. Let's plan it. So,
Great.
we had Joanna was on earlier, and she did a quick presentation about the upcoming September 11th, and then October 18th. Now my brain is scrambled, but there's an NCOM and a DAT training.
Oh, October 19th is the Great Shakeout.
These were two separate things, but so she was talking about that presentation and encouraging us to be part of it. But she was also pressing, she's been advocating for like a large training on the FRS, GMS, and ham radios. And so I just told her that my hope was that we would put her in the learning circle portion of the disaster resiliency, and we would just have a big mass training there under the bridge, and it would be super fun. And we'll pull in Andy Davis and Jen Bell from CERT so that they can do their fun kind of, we can have folks go really far and really try to work through that. And she was really excited to have a format for it because, she's been wanting to do that group training, but, can't do it at her house, obviously. So I just figured that would be a highlight of the event.
Perfect.
Okay. And then, we'll push forward our recipes for disaster again. We've got some extra money in my OHA DR grant for all that. We'll have the go bag supplies again. Does anybody else? Well, and then I guess the big question is, who of COAD do you think will come? I mean, we've had Green Hill before. We've had.
Yeah, and I think so. They just did a pretty good event in Cottage Grove where Green Hill did some emergency first aid for pets, kind of like, or how to prepare for your pets. We just had a COAD steering committee meeting today, and so this is for the next cycle. Should we get the old OHA grant funding? One thing we kind of talked about was doing, having sort of a general meeting hosted in the various regions. So this would be, in part, a little bit of a general meeting hosted in this region, but then having representatives of all the different lifelines. And so, Joanne is very much a communications lifeline. The cooking demo or competition speaks to the food, shelter, hydration lifeline. If we can maybe have someone talk about some transportation or something, but definitely just offering table space to those COAD member organizations that provide these services. But I think as long as we can pick a date, then we can see who will show up. And for that one, they also did, they made box fan air filters.
Yep.
And so, which also actually do work if your home is wood heated and you have internal air pollution. But I think, we can maybe think of a little cold weather, something we could show people how to put chains on their tires,
Right.
There's some stuff like that, but.
Okay. Yeah, that's really going to be exciting. And I just envisioned that we're always kind of tucked against the skate park section, but my hope is that we just have so many fabulous reps from COAD that we can make a much larger presentation circle with tables and canopies and people's, setups. And then, we'll really expand the learning circle part of it this time with the chain tire demonstration, with Joanna's event, and we'll just kind of lock them down. So I hope that in our COAD meeting coming up, we can really press that as well. Like, not only will you come and just be there, but what do you want to do in terms of community training and take a section of our day.
And I can forward you, we participated in an Alternative Earth Day event, and they had some really good guidelines about being a community organization that was there as a tabling entity, but like try to have something that you're sharing with the community, have a little activity, and it can be little, it can, be we have the 2-week ready guides, we have these things, but I can get Lane County Preparedness to probably provide some of those 2-week ready materials. Maybe, we can do a bunch of things. But Janet, you've had your hand up, so I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry. My thing keeps blocking her. Go ahead, Janet.
Well, first, refresh my memory. COAD. What's that acronym mean? Can we avoid acronyms, or if we do use them, just periodically include what they mean? Because the world runs on acronyms. What is COAD, Jen?
the community organizations active in disaster.
Okay. Could I be included in those? I am the Southwest Director of CERT
So
in the Whitaker. And I'd like to be
the way it
included in the
works is-
MCON of Joanna.
So, I believe like Springfield CERT is on our mailing list. You can email COAD. So what this is we received a grant from the Lane County Community Organizations Active in Disaster.
So
to help
it's a closed group.
No,
Is it a closed group?
So I'm
Okay.
trying to tell you how to do this. My mom I was in the
Okay.
hospital all day today, dude, with my mom having surgery. I'm exhausted.
I
I'm
know.
like, you're not getting shut out, dude. Like,
Dudette.
dude is gender neutral. So before you make any false assumptions and feel victimized, what you are supposed to do is email info@lanecountycoad.org and express your interest. Each organization has a representative. So Doriandra is the Whitaker Community Council representative. I am both the Breda Brigade representative and I'm their grant writer. So it's not a closed organization, but we both are there. If we had just everyone showing up from all of the organizations, it would be overwhelming. The steering committee is elected process and things like that, but general membership meetings, you'd be more than welcome to attend. But you need to email them to get on the list.
I will check in with Amy. Thank you.
Apologies, I'm exhausted.
Sorry, you had a rough day, and I hope your mom is doing okay after being in the hospital all day. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jen. Okay. Any other input or ideas for the DR event, disaster resiliency event? Okay.
We're
Margaret?
just going to accept as many tables as want to come that are pertaining to the issue, correct? I mean,
Yeah.
I heard you ask Jen how many people will come, and
Yep.
I mean, I would assume that we'll have a full house. We're doing it at Washington Jefferson Park, correct?
Yes. So I'll be
Springfield, Eugene, Lane County, man, if you're in disaster preparedness, you're gonna come and participate.
Yeah, I'll have
Right?
all the usual people that I round up, and then this time we'll have more from COAD. So it's going to be a really nice full event. So Jen and I will work on that offline, and
And
we'll.
Stephen and I will get to eat some yummy food.
Right.
Sorry, my phone's dying. Good night.
Oh, good night.
Good night, Dudette. That was
Okay,
great,
yeah.
Janet. You made me laugh. Thank you.
Good night, dudes and dudettes. Good night.
I may be out of town for most of October. I don't yet have dates, but that would allow somebody else to enjoy the delights of disaster food.
Oh,
I was just being sarcastic.
Looking at you,
and I'm
Derek.
just-
we can't
It
do it.
requires a long, slow recovery period.
Oh no. Well, okay, we'll have to put Derek David in your spot to be a food judge.
Sign me up.
And I am sorry, folks. I just realized
I can just see him in his chef's hat.
I do need to figure out if we can figure out the date for this, Doriandra, before the leadership meeting. I think it would be really good
Perfect.
to have
Okay.
that. And I think
All
there's
right.
enough other pieces that we can present that. But yeah, if we can just on a date.
Okay. I will email you tomorrow, and when you have a moment, let's figure that out, and we'll do that offline, or online, but together. All right, we'll do that tomorrow, and then folks, I think we're coming into the home stretch. Jen probably needs to get off soon. So, Margaret, you got something?
No, I was saying good night.
Oh, okay. Well, all right.
Jen, how are you feeling? Other than your mom?
I'm okay, and I'm sorry.
No, don't go there. You've seen me before. I mean, no need to apologize to me. I just wanted to take a second and ask how you are. You know, we talked a couple times. I called you. I just wanted to check in, but I've been swamped.
I'm doing okay. I'm still recovering from the surgery and still feeling a little tired, but hopefully better now that It was not
Okay, good.
the
I
thing.
just wanted to take
So,
a second and check in.
Yeah, we're
but
really
yeah, I
glad to
think
see you.
that you are correct that I have reached my bandwidth for the day, so I'm gonna sign off. But
All right.
I'm excited about the healthy home thing. The press release looked great. I can probably put you in touch with someone at Lookout too. Vanessa came and interviewed us, and she was great.
Yep.
But so if you just send me an email with anything you want from me
Okay.
tomorrow, that would be awesome.
All right. Thank you, Jen. Have a good rest of your evening.
I'm gonna go to bed now.
Okay, go to night night. Okay. Bye. Okay. Let's see, folks. Let's just wrap this up and get our night back. Healthy Homes
That
is
was so
going.
classic. I have to admit that was fun.
That was.
That
yeah,
was. I wish it was like that all the time. That's do that to you. I'm like, yeah, woohoo!
a little bit of comedy as our brains are all hot and tired. It was good. Anyway, all is well. We're tearing in. We have 28 houses in motion. Totally overwhelming and exciting. The co-op is like the shining star right now. We're just tearing up those units. I can't believe how decrepit, and like not decrepit, but like challenging it was for those folks over there. So it feels really good to be just injecting new life and excellent stuff there. So we're going to have a really exciting press day where I'll stack our media folks, and we'll probably really focus on the co-op. So we'll have some really neat news articles about them and how these positive changes are impacting their lives. And we'll hear from some of the contractors. So yeah, really good stuff ahead. The mailers worked incredible. I was deluged with applications and they're still coming in hot. So we're good. We'll have my brain is losing it. KRVM radio spots coming up pretty soon. So I'm starting like a second wave of marketing in a different way. So we're going to keep rolling. Everything is good with that. Let's see. Yeah, that's about it. Anybody else have anything tonight? Let's go get some lemonade, folks. Let's get off the phone, huh?
Hey,
Yeah.
Glendra, Stephen, great job on the train stuff. You guys have really, I may not read it as soon as it comes in, but I do take the time to go and read it when I go in there. And some fantastic information.
Thank you for leadership, Margaret. You're an inspiration.
Well,
Yes, you are.
you have a great night. Thank you.
See you kids later.
All right, you all.
All right.
Rest well. Stay cool.
All right, Derek, I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.